Hey, folks, welcome to InTheMoneyStocks.com's live trading action video. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here. Today's date is Monday, November 13th, 2017. Well, right now we see the S&P slowly grinding up. It's been exactly how you would envision a Monday. Volume is insanely light, 33.3 million with about 30 minutes remaining in the trading day. Notice how we had a gap lower today on the back of the Nikkei. All right, so the Nikkei index fell again last night about 300 points. It's now over 1,000 points off of its highs from just last week. That usually has an impact on the U.S. futures, which we did see overnight. But then what we saw today is as soon as the market opened, buy the dippers flooded in and just bought the market up. And that's been the normal way things have worked. In fact, you could see last week we had this nice fall middle of the day, and then look at how the buy the dippers came right back in. Friday was much like today, small gap down, and by the close we were essentially flat with a slow grind up. And here's today's gap down, and then you could see the rest is history here. With spiders again, the S&P's not going up much. You're seeing a couple points every day, but it's just consistently being seen here. Now, there are some keys out there that I'm following very closely that I think are interesting from a trading perspective. Number one, you could clearly see that JCPenney is pulling back today, down about 8.5%. I think JCPenney could be a strong buy coming up here, folks. Here is going to be the level that you should be following tomorrow. Let me get that line in straight for you on JCPenney. Now, the key is to understand what's going on with JCP. The basics of it is earnings last week reported Friday morning were very, very good. They were actually 2 times as good as expected from Wall Street analysts. So the stock obviously had a very strong day. Today, people are again a little bit question marky about whether or not retail's the place to be. So you're seeing a fall here. But the key is ultimately you're looking for this trend line support level, which is right at the 277 level. This would be a negation of the move up from Friday's earnings. And also notice the intraday 200 moving average is sitting there. So tomorrow, what I want you guys looking for is a very simple trade here on JCPenney. If it can fall into about 277, pick it up for a move back up. I ultimately am very bullish on JCPenney after those earnings, folks. All right. It's the first time JCPenney has shown any sort of light at the end of the tunnel. The stock, again, is at pennies on the dollar. It's essentially from where it was trading not long ago. It, to me, is a worthwhile risk-reward if you can get the 277. 277 on the stock, too, is either a good, it could be a good 1 or 2 day hold where you just get about 20 cents out of it, maybe 10%, and you can say, see you later, take your profits. Or, in my opinion, this is now becoming something that's very interesting as a longer-term hold, meaning 6 months to 12 months out. I could see this thing back above $5 very easily early in 2018 if they can continue to rebound and show signs of life. And again, I think 277 is your level there. A couple other retailers showing the same kind of weakness today. You could see Macy's. Macy's had very good earnings last week as well. The stock is rolling over today, although it has come off of its lows. This is your intraday Macy's chart. So you can see early in the day it fell here, and then it came back. And then there are a few other retailers under some pressure today as well. Another stock showing some craziness today is GE. GE getting pounded. Pre-market, this was actually up after the company issued an update, but as the market kind of digested it, the bigger sellers came out of the woodwork and have pounded GE, General Electric, to the downside sharply. The question is, where the heck is support going to be on this stock? And what we're going to do here is we'll flip over to the daily chart. And if you zoom out on the daily, you can see what a fall this thing has had. I like today's fall as being a potential bottom. The reason I say that is very simple. Basically, what you have here is a situation where you're probably getting the baby thrown out with the bathwater. The stock is already down from $32 down to, below 19. Here's a huge volume sell day, which is probably capitulation volume. A lot of people just throwing the towel in, which is exactly what you want to see. And if you go back to a larger time frame here, take a look at this, guys. Here's your weekly chart on GE, and there's a pivot point coming up right here. All right, right here, let me put in some trend lines. So this is where a lot of support's going to be seen, and there's a gap fill right here. So I think in the next day or two, if you can get this thing down to basically $18, so only another 85 to 90 cent drop, I think that's where you're going to have major support. I already have a little bit of this in the research center with members. I'm going to look to add to it if we get down there. I only have a half position at this point as you're just dipping your toe in the water. But I personally think that the signals here, even though most average investors would call you crazy for this, these are the signals I actually look for. You look for good quality companies that are struggling in the short term, that obviously have some sort of ability and the money behind them and the name behind them to turn themselves around. And you're looking for technical support levels as well. So these are things that, again, as an investor, especially if you have a longer term horizon of 6 months to a year or a couple years out, on GE, very interesting. They did cut their dividend today, but they're still paying a very solid dividend for the price of the stock at this point. And again, I doubt they will cut their dividend again in the future. And I'm sure they just wanted to pull it off like a Band-Aid today and just pull, whatever they knew they had to do, and even if a little bit excessive in it, they probably did it at this point, and then are setting themselves up to do very well in the future. So the stock is bouncing a little bit off the lows towards the end of the day here. But again, folks, I think anywhere in this range is great. If you can get it below 18, that's a steal of a deal. Steal of a deal on this stock. All right, so again, here are some ideas for you, some interesting retail situations. And again, notice how I'm focusing on the beaten down areas. It's very hard to buy an NVIDIA today, after earnings and the stock's in the stratosphere. If we go to NVIDIA, you can see the stock's actually falling today by $3.25 after I had a nice day up on Friday. But I mean, how do you pay these multiples on a stock like this? I mean, look at the longer term chart. I mean, just ridiculous chart to the upside. But what I like to do is I like to find those beaten down sectors that maybe if this bull market continues, they're still going to have an opportunity to kind of rebound and play catch up to the overall market. And when you're talking about something like GE or JCPenney or Macy's, the upside is very large in my opinion for the downside, especially at JCPenney trading in like $2 range, right? I mean, what are you risking? I mean, let's just say the worst case scenario goes out of business. All right, it's a couple dollars. But on the upside, if you have patience, I mean, this could be a $7 to $10 stock in a few years, very, very easily. I mean, again, what's crazy on JCP, if you go to the daily chart here, I mean, just getting back to where it was in August and September, you're talking about a $5 handle on the stock. That's a double. That's a 100% move just to go back to where it was trading in August. And August, again, it's just November now. So not exactly crazy to think it could get back there. So these are some ideas for you. Bottom line is, if you want more actual trades, entries, feel free to come back to InTheMoneyStocks.com. Take the 7-day free trial. Jump on board here, folks. Get involved. Trades flowing. I put out another trade today. I'm going to be issuing another trade just in a little while. Come get us at InTheMoneyStocks.com. Take the 7-day free trial. Take care.